I think that this gives you, for me, the one thing about doing these plaques, you know, this is our second one, and it won't be our last. I think it gives us, the pagan community, an equal footing with everyone else now when we put these things up. And it shows that we're here, and it shows that the people that have gone before us have had some historic significance. There is always a process to go through. Sally, one of our local councillors, Durham, has made this a very easy process, and it's been the cooperation here has been great. In Brighton, as you might remember, it took 4 years of me begging and borrowing and shedding tears, and eventually they gave in. But it was a remarkable thing, and I think what it did, because Doreen's flat in Brighton was a place where I'd been several times and I knew. But the one thing that came out of it when people came along to that, and hopefully you get the same feeling today, is that it kind of put bones on the bodies of people that have gone before. You know, this is where Gerald lived, and it was possibly the most significant house that he ever did live in. We looked at several others, and there were lots of other houses, but we felt that this one was the most important because it was from here that he walked out to Mill House and was initiated. It was in this house that you've all seen this book, but it was in this house that he wrote the Book of Shadow. And you know, that book has become the most significant book that there is in existence. You know, it's not the greatest, but it's the first, and therefore it plays a big part in our history. So, you know, today is really special, and I hope that you all get from it a feeling of Gerald view. The current owners love the house. If you ask him later on, he'll tell you a very funny story about when they did buy it. But ask him personally. And well, let's just get on with it. There's a few things that we need to say. I've done my bit, and there's a few people that need to come along. Unfortunately, Merlin from the Children of Artemis was supposed to be here, and he was supposed to have a PA to set up, but his radiator blew up on the fan really hard this morning, so he's not going to make it. But he's been extremely helpful in liaising with, because you know I live in southern Spain and it's not quite so easy, and actually lives up in Nottingham.
And we're not allowed to communicate from there.
No. So, but Dave's been, he now lives not too far away, so he's been backwards and forwards and been really helpful, so yeah, thank you. We all hear about how fanatical the Americans are on certain things. And we sat down for a couple of days before with our host, before we went up to this meeting where it was just Gardnerian, and it was a secret meeting, which it turned out to be. I thought that we were going to the great pagan Florida pagan gathering. In fact, I spoke to Janet Farrar about it, and I said, well, she said, well, I'm one of the main speakers. No, you're not on the list. And I said, well, definitely I'm the main speaker. So I didn't realise until we got there that it was a completely different meeting on the same weekend. But there were certain things when they said, well, you know, what are you going to talk about? And most of what I was going to talk about is my association with Doreen and what we're doing with the collection. And Judy's made a fantastic show with the slideshow and movie about it. And we said, well, we're going to say that. And he said, well, you can't say that about Gerald. Well, you can't say this about Gerald. No, if they heard that, they wouldn't like that. So, you know, they have rather raised him above his status, I think. And his status is just about as high as he can get. But he you know, we're all here because of the work that Gerald did in this house. So. All right.
I can come in on that note. As John's saying, the Americans are enthusiastic about Gerald. Everyone here is quite enthusiastic about Gerald and what he's done for us, aren't you? Yeah! Good.
Well, more realistic.
Maybe more realistic. I mean, I've come down from Nottingham today, although I have had a brief sort of sojourn in Sheffield to see a Mrs. Crowther, as some of you may know. If there's ever a person who walked the face of this earth who was the staunchest, most solid defender of Gerald's reputation, Gerald's achievements, Gerald's accomplishments, and who won't have a word said against him in the face of anything. And there are plenty of things that Gerald left us to be able to fling at him with accusations and blame. It's Patricia. Patricia Crowther was also one of Gerald's high priestesses. She's perhaps now, I don't know whether she's the oldest, but she's certainly one of the very few surviving ones, and she was among the more famous. And she is now at 86 years old and still Gerald Gardner's staunchest defender in public and staunchest supporter. And she's dispatched me with many promises of seeing to it that this message is read out. So on behalf of Patricia Crowther, I would just like to read a short message. Patricia says, "It is exactly half a century since Gerald Gardner's passing into the Summerlands. He is receiving the great and well-deserved honour of a heritage blue plaque for his work in bringing the ancient craft of the wise into its true position as the ancient priesthood of the old religion. The rapid spread worldwide of Gerald's work has revealed how necessary it must have been for the great goddess and her consort to be recognised again. Gerald was a great friend of mine. He was my initiator and the teacher of my occult knowledge. I cannot do better in describing Gerald's character than to quote the late keeper of prints and drawings at the Victoria and Albert Museum, James Labour, who said, 'I was soon convinced that I was in the presence of a man of scientific and scholarly mind, a learned man, moreover, one who had written the standard work on the Malayan creeds and was an anthropologist and an archaeologist of great distinction. It was impossible to meet Gerald Gardner without realising that he was also a great human being.'" Those are Patricia's words. And
She wants to live back, probably.
she's on the list.
Hey.
So, I mean,
Well, that's the point.
so we have received messages from one or two other people who are sorry they can't be here, and Chris Vivian Crowley have said so. Mike Steigel, the president of the Pagan Federation, has sent his apologies, and has he sent a deputy? He has. So we have a representative of the Pagan Federation, which of course was a mere glint in Doreen Valiente's eye when Gerald passed on. What I'd like to do now is we'd like to introduce you to the person who definitely knows more about Gerald, his life, his works, and so on in the world than anybody else living or dead. And long may that continue. I'd like to bring Philip up to say a few words, who is Gerald's biographer, author of several books, soon to be Doreen's biographer as well. And on a personal note, just to have an opportunity to have my say, I would just like to note and remember that great human being that Gerald was. Something that everyone always forgets is that as Jesus wasn't a Christian, Gerald wasn't a Gardnerian. So don't let anybody tell you that Gerald's way is the Gardnerian way. Gerald's way was Gerald's way, and that's the way that he laid out and helped other people to find and follow, like Patricia and so on. So go your own way, and and always remember that the labels are not the most important thing.
Hey.
Well, just say brass.
While he's doing that, one thing that is, no, it's not a joke. Famous for all the I Like Big Babylon. If anybody wanted a ticket to come along to Philip's talk tonight, they've actually given us a slightly larger room, so we don't have some tickets again. We had sold out, so if anybody hasn't got a ticket and they do want to come, there are tickets available.
Okay, right. Now, Gerald moved into this house in 1938. He retired. He'd had a life out east in Ceylon, Malaya, Borneo, and he came from a fairly rich family. So he was, in that way, when he moved in here, he was no different from many other ex-colonials who retired to this very pleasant coastal part of England. When he left here, about 1945, he had been initiated into what he called the witch cult, and he was very, very keen to make sure that it didn't die out. And this is basically he was fascinated by it, and he realised that there were people who called themselves witches, and this really changed his life. And the last quarter of a century of his life, after he'd been initiated, he spent trying to publicise the craft, trying to make it more popular, more accessible to people, and wrote books, opened a museum, and initiated a lot of people. And it was while he was here that happened. Here, the significant single moment of his life took place while he was living here. And so that's why it's important that we have a plaque on this building. And I'm very, very pleased that the owner of this property has not only allowed this to be put up, but is enthusiastic about it. And if I may say so, I think that Gerald would actually have been thrilled to think that there was a plaque put up to him. Yeah, that's all I want to say. If you want to know more, then I'm giving a talk this evening at Highcliffe Castle. So that's it, I think.
Hey.
Right. Well, just down to pulling the string now, and actually unveiling the plaque. So it's not like we did last year in Brighton, where it was a big ritual in right in the centre of Brighton and stuff. It's not a ritual day, but it is a significant day. In fact, it's Gerald's 130th birthday. It's a full moon. And it's Friday the 13th. So really good. Full house. So I'm going to hand you over to Ashley, who's been looking after our deputy mayor, and I'll introduce him. So.
Hey.
Yes, we talk about events not being complete without certain things, and obviously the curtains is one thing, the plaque is another, and the local dignitary is also vital for such an event. So I would like, on behalf of the pagan community and the Centre for Pagan Studies and the Doreen Valiente Foundation, and everybody who's travelled a long way today to come and say that they were part and parcel of this, I should like to welcome Christchurch as Deputy Mayor, Councillor Nick Geary, who I've had the pleasure of meeting a short while ago, and I think you've a few words to come and say for us.
Hey.
Just a few.
He's also got an AC-30 and a Stratocaster.
Well.
So he's okay, Michael.
John, the fingers are still working well.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you very much for inviting me to take part in this celebration. And it is with great pleasure that I have the honour of unveiling a blue heritage plaque dedicated to the life of Gerald Gardner, known as the father of modern witchcraft, on what we would have been his 130th birthday. Almost single-handedly, Gerald reintroduced this ancient religious belief system, and his first book, High Magic Aid, was published in 1949, for years before the repeal of the Witchcraft Act. He went on to write a book of shadows, which is the most valuable document in the pagan world. Nowadays, this form of paganism, known as Guardianum witchcraft, is practiced by covens all over the world. The memorial plaque was placed on this house, as this is where he lived during the war years, and it was from this house that he walked to his initiation into the New Forest Coven in 1939. It is also known that Gerald and his wife Donna loved the time they spent in this house and this area. This is only the second time that a witch has been honoured in this way, and now it gives me great pleasure, if the thing works as we hope it will, to unveil the plaque. Now you promised me, John, that it's going to work.
Which one, but stand clear.
That one there.
That's one.
There we are.
So great thanks to Christchurch Council and to the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Geary.
Yeah.